All right. You are. I think we're live. Let me just double check. Because for some reason my Streamlabs has been crashing recently. To find out why. Okay.
Are we live?
Yes, we're live.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. And welcome to another episode of A Talk of Opportunity. It is Sunday, which means we are talking about things that nobody else cares about except for us. And a small niche in Reddit, on Reddit, that, you know, fixes our mistakes. Today we're talking about Lancer, the RPG about mechs. And with me, as usual, Andrew.
Salutations. I am your representative from the Smith-Shimano Corporation, and I am pleased to announce that we no longer do crimes against eugenics. Hold on. Let me rephrase that last statement.
Oh, and with that, let's play that music.
So after that brutal assault by the Orc warrior, the initiative now goes to you. Jose, what do you do?
I'm gonna cast and we're back. Andrew, say something real quick for me.
I just spilled my fucking drink on, mate.
Yes, Andrew. You know, apparently you're a child when it comes to make opening drinks.
Well, no, because for some reason I was like, you have to shake these, right? and you'll see why that was a mistake when we introduce what drink we're having.
Well, welcome to another episode of A Talk of Opportunity, podcast all about RPGs, tabletop games, board games, and video games. We also talk about things that we like books and movies sometimes. Today, specifically, Andrew is teaching us all about cool mechs in Lancer, specifically the Smith-Shimano Corporation.
I will do my best to give you an approximate knowledge of what I know.
Of many things. But before we move on, Andrew, what are you drinking today?
Well, before I spilt it all over myself, I'm having a Synergy raw kombucha.
No! You're not supposed to shake kombucha.
Well, no, I didn't shake it. I was just like, I'm like, do I have to like disturb the shit on the bottom?
Oh, okay.
It's been a minute since I had a kombucha, and this is the Sacred Life flavor, because just like Smith-Shimano, I believe all life is sacred for genetic harvesting.
Fucking hippie. That kombucha is violently blue. How is that possible?
I have no idea, and I gotta feel like it's gonna. Well, I mean, it's a good thing I'm wearing blue jeans.
There you go. It's gonna be even more bluer jeans.
Yeah, I saw this. I'm like, there ain't no fucking way. This is natural blue.
Yeah.
But
like, that's like, especially on the camera, it just looks bluer than your fake blue chair in the background.
It says it's made with blue spirulina. But,
oh, okay. Well, maybe.
I don't know. It doesn't say anything about containing
artificial colors.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll have to look up blue spirulina. Maybe it is just that blue.
Oh. I'm drinking a Celsius because I'm a skinny girl now. I drink healthy energy drinks.
Oh man.
This is the kiwi guava flavor. It's pretty good.
The kiwi wawa flavor?
Guava.
Oh.
Yes, it's specifically from a Wawa store that has a kiwi tree in it.
I don't wanna taste the energy drink that's flavored after a gas station. I don't care how fancy it is.
What if you open it and it smells like gas? Like, there you go. There you go.
All right.
There's something about that gasoline flavor that take all my nose hairs.
Got the Buc-ee's brand today.
Yeah. All right, Andrew. So last episode we spoke about some very straightforward mechs.
Yes.
Just looking at the pictures, I am gonna guess that these are not as straightforward.
Not as. We're starting to get into the more refined mechs, like the Smith-Shimano mechs, whereas like IPSN was for the everyman, for like the blue collar. Smith-Shimano is the exact opposite of that. This is for like the elite, the luxury and stuff like that.
Yeah, they look like this is like the what's the name? Oh, what's the name of that spaceship? The Mitsu, whatever the hell from The Expanse. The one that Avasarala was in. And it was a trap too. They were trying to trap her there. It was like super luxurious. Yeah. Versus like the Canterbury. It's like an ice hauler. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. We went from function over form to the exact opposite of that. Like you could definitely tell that this was something where someone's like, I want to make a mech that people want to have weird feelings about when they see it. You know,
it's almost art. I want them to question and reflect upon it.
Definitely the terms sleek and sexy were used during the pitch meetings for some of these mechs, but
100%.
But because it is, we'll get into it a little bit later, but because it is Smith-Shimano, this is probably going to be like the mechs you see is probably not what your mech will look like. Like this is just what the base model is. Everybody has their own like what's the word I'm looking for? Like inclusive, exclusive kind of deal. We'll dive a little bit into that. But first, I want to make a
Wait.
Oh, okay, yeah. Jose, play me off. Okay, so I want to make a correction on the last episode that we did for Lancer, which was for IPSN. I made a couple of small mistakes, but I made one really big egregious mistake, and that's where I said the arcing tag for weapons goes off a sensor range. That's not true. The arcing tag, what that requires, that it still goes by the range of the weapon, but it requires a little bit of metagaming on the player's end. And what arcing is that as long as you can draw a straight line, like as the crow flies, it will go over walls and obstructions. However, it's still arcing is still affected by cover. So if there's like an overhang or a roof, they're gonna have cover underneath that. Okay, that's it. That's pretty much it.
Hey there, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for the musical accompaniment.
That was so out of tune. It was great. All right.
That's only what's it? That's we're staying in tone with a big attitude.
Yeah, completely out of touch. All right. Anyways. So yeah, it was actually pretty funny. We had some people, one guy specifically who like really went into it, and clarified a lot of things for us, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, I
love that.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of small things, but then that one was like, I know that's not right. I like the moment I said it, I'm like, I know that's not right. I know that's not right.
Too late. I gotta keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So tell me a little bit about Smith-Shimano. Corpo.
Well, hold on.
Also,
what's up?
It says on the book. It says Corpro.
Corpro.
Not Corpo.
It's Corpro in this one.
Okay.
I don't know why. They're just like, you know what? Throw in the extra R.
Yeah. Right.
They're. I guess they're really big fans.
It's a pro model.
They're really big fans of throwing in an extra letter. Like it's not Arrakis. It's Caracas. Okay. It's
Caracas.
two
yeah.
totally different things. All right. This is my vanilla ice. No, I did not rip off under pressure. Okay, so before we get into Smith-Shimano, we have to talk about the stat that Smith-Shimano is more or less tied to, which is agility. Agility is pretty straightforward. It describes how agile and maneuverable your mech is. The agility stat is also used for dodging certain attacks. You'll have to make an agility save for stealthing, like hiding or something like that, or using acrobatic actions. Like if you're in a chase with another mech, you might have to use the agility save to like jump over hurdles or what have you, or dodge stuff that's in the way.
Right.
For every 1 point of agility that you bump up, you gain +1 evasion, which is essentially your AC. That's what you have to roll against for an attack roll. And for every 2 points of agility, you gain +1 speed. So imagine, if you will, in D&D, if every 2 points you put in dexterity, you gain 10 movement speed.
Dang.
Yeah.
And then you're a monk on top of that.
God. Yeah, a tabaxi monk, in which case no one can stop you. You're just the fly.
Damn, that's kind of cool. All right, so these guys are just fast and I was gonna say Argyle.
Yeah.
Agile.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you might want them in Argyle. That's totally fine. You can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Luxury.
But yeah, the emphasis behind it is that, like, why have armor if you're not going to get hit? You know.
Right.
So,
Right.
Another thing. This is going to be this is going to be
also my cyberpunk build right now that I'm going through.
Hey man,
nobody can fucking touch me, dude.
It's a simple philosophy: hit the enemy and don't get hit.
Yep.
You know. Okay, so there is 2 little minor details I want you and the audience to remember, because I know in the last episode I said, oh, on criticals this happens, blah blah blah, and it was kind of minor. This is going to be a bit more there's going to be a bit more weight to critical attacks on this one. In Lancer, critical attacks are not when you roll a natural 20, it's whenever your attack roll exceeds 20.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So
so you weren't kidding when you said that if everything's busted in this game, then nothing is.
Nothing's busted. Yeah. So if you make an attack roll and then you add your grit, which is a pilot stat, you add your grit and then you add whatever accuracies to it, and you roll a 23, despite the fact that you initially rolled an 8, like an 18, and it modified to a 23, that's a crit.
Yeah.
So
all right.
20 and up, it's a crit. Yeah, which kind of clarifies some things for me, because there's a lot of stuff like on a crit, like, well, what's that gonna happen? Oh wait, I have to read the rules. Yeah. And also invisibility is a big thing for Smith-Shimano, and what that essentially means is that invisibility, before the attack even gets rolled, there's a 50-50 chance that it's just gonna miss. So it doesn't matter. You could roll like a 27, but then you got to flip that coin. If it lands on tails, good, nice try.
Really?
Yes. And you can use the hide action regardless of cover, which is a big thing. Because usually you have to have some kind of cover to hide from other mechs. But if you're invisible, you have the cover.
Right. Yeah, you are the cover. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right. So let's get into Smith-Shimano in of itself. Smith-Shimano was founded by Cartwright Smith and Shimano Hideyoshi. It is the second oldest corporate state and the second most powerful, preceded only by GMS. When exactly they were founded, I couldn't quite nail a time down on like IPSN, unfortunately. However, they worked heavily with transhumanism practices, not so much during the first committee, but more so during the second committee. I think during the first committee they were just rising up, and they were just more of a purveyor of luxury goods and manufacturers of luxury goods. But it was during the and also medical technology. They're very good about medical technology. But it was during the second committee that's when they started to lean more into what if we can make a person more than a person. And I'm not talking about just like cybernetic enhancements and stuff like that. They were trying to go for singularity.
Okay, so that kind of answers my question. But what do you mean by singularity? Like
trying to put the human, like trying to essentially put a soul into a machine, like trying to ascend the corporeal body, as it were.
Okay. Yeah.
However, during after the Deimos incident, or sorry, the Deimos event, they were forced by the First Accord Act to halt any singularity-focused experimentations. That was by Deimos itself. It says, hey, that was the two things. That was its two biggest points. Was that no thanatological,
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah, no thanatological studies, and no trying to, essentially become more than human. So in that case, what they did was that Smith-Shimano, they had to backpedal a bit. So instead of trying to make humans more than humans, what they're trying to do is that they're just trying to make humans the peak of humanity. If any of this is starting to ring any bells, it should. Unlike IPSN and Harrison Armory, they don't really have a lot of terrestrial campuses. They do have some in the Sierra Madre line, which is a little further out, I believe, than IPSN. Don't quote me on that. But they don't really have like a home planet or a home like corporate building or anything like that. Instead, what they do is that they have a vast presence in the OmniNet, which is the internet. And instead, they do most of their business on online campuses.
Amazon.
Yeah. It is believed though that the campus for Smith-Shimano, the online campus for Smith-Shimano, takes inspiration from a real space world that was called Opal, which was one of Smith-Shimano's first planets that had now since been rendered inhospitable due to like civil war. Yeah. So what they do is Smith-Shimano, their presence is not really so much political. They're more for the people. It's described that they have what's called a Constellar Congress, which that's their people that will go out and what's the word? Like extend olive branches and try to recruit more people.
Right.
They don't. It's described they don't really go for political leaders. They try to go for like spiritual leaders, leaders of like influence, not so much power, but influence.
Right.
They try not to hold political sway, and where a lot of their power comes from, in terms of like corporate power, is that they will it's the cultivation of genetic material from people that are willingly able to give it to them. Like it's
okay.
So it's like you could be on a cosmopolitan planet, and a member of the Smith-Shimano Constellar Congress will show up one day, and and what they'll do is that they will find someone that they will find what's the word I'm looking for? Like genetically worthy, essentially. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they'll be like, hey, we're willing to give you a better life and stuff like that, blah blah blah. In return, all you have to do is just give a couple strands of hair, a couple drops of blood, swab inside the mouth. Literally, that's just it. Nothing crazy. And then they will take care of everything for you, and they will whisk you away onto a real world campus that they might have. And
that's like a cult to me.
it's not a cult. But the thing about it is that if you were brought into the folds for Smith-Shimano, literally everything they make for you will be made just for you. Tailor made everything. Imagine that, if you will.
Really?
Like hard suits that act like a second skin. Vehicles and apartments and stuff that are just for you. Like you didn't even realize you wanted this until Smith-Shimano brought it to you. It's to the point where it's like, if Smith-Shimano were to make a bottle of wine for you, you are literally the only person in the world that has this bottle of wine, because they have constructed it down to a molecular level just for you.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And they do this. They do this to everybody in their corporation, or how does this work? Or is it like their citizens, or?
Well, I mean, their citizens are people that they recruit. But like I said, it's not forceful recruiting. It's not like it's not like they're gonna put a bag over your head and whisk you away. Like, no, they'll be like, are you willing to do this? And yeah, and if they do that, they will provide you with a life of luxury, as it were.
So on YouTube, Azurinki, welcome.
Oh,
He said that he just got a notification that we're streaming.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah. You can watch it later. We're also gonna release it, edit it with proper audio and music too. So,
yeah.
say he has some plans, so he's not gonna be able to stay here long. But thank you for sticking around.
The Consular Congress has a security detail, which is more than likely where these mechs come from. And it's there. That is pretty boilerplate. Like, they're literally just security detail just to make sure nothing goes wrong. However, the Consular Congress security detail also might or might not have a group called the Constellar Midnight, which deals with more, shall we say, ambivalent
I like the name though. That's cool.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms,
That's okay. Every government has to. I mean, every corporation has to have something like that.
like
secret police
wet
or...
workers. Yeah.
Yeah. What? What are you talking about?
You mean? I mean, I'm not gonna say anything, but I wouldn't be surprised. So, I mean, that's kind of. I mean, I know I just glaze over a lot, but that's kind of what Smith-Shimano is about. It's all about luxury. It's all about also in this weird era where people want for nothing. They have what's the word I'm looking for? Manufactured scarcity. It's actually described that one of their mechs, that if it weren't for Smith-Shimano like purposely making this scarce, they would dominate the battlefield. Yeah. So,
like one of the frames specifically, you said?
yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So okay. And so what? How do they make it scarce?
They
Like licensing?
yeah, just they're very very frugal with their licensing and stuff like that.
Okay.
It doesn't describe specifically how so, but it's just Smith-Shimano tends to be like, well, not everybody's going to get this, but only the very best can, obtain this frame. So really how that plays mechanically in your game, that's up to you. That would probably have to be a narrative thing, and because what's up?
So narratively, how does a player get into the Smith-Shimano licensing program? I guess that's my question.
So it's it actually does say a little bit of detail into the Smith-Shimano Consular Congress security detail. The SSCCC.
That's a lot of S's. I don't know if I like that. We all know what happened. There was a lot of S's.
But no. It's Japanese, so it's all S rank, so it's all the best.
Oh, okay, it's all good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the Japanese had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, no, the Japanese. The Japanese literally did nothing wrong.
Oh God.
Anyways, but
we're gonna have to make another apology ukulele video.
Just bring it down. No, but it's kind of described that if, and this, it says that if you were part of the security detail, you might have already started out as part of the security detail. However, it could be something like due to your backstory, and we'll get into it, because Smith-Shimano, they you would think that it's just like, oh, they're after like the Rudy Poo, like, oh, upper elite, like,
well,
Prince
yeah,
Charles.
that's kind of what I got when you first started describing it. I was like, oh, okay, so it's like, but then you said that they're going after like the everyday, like I'm like, I was confused because like usually when it's like luxury and like,
well,
you know,
it's okay. So what it is that they will essentially run the genetic lottery on you and see like, oh, you're more tuned to like resist certain diseases and stuff for planets that we are like scoping out, that kind of thing. It's not like, it's not entirely like blonde hair, blue eyes kind of eugenics, but it's also like,
got it. yeah. Like you're less likely to get diabetes, and there's a lot of sugar in this planet.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's just like, oh, hey, you're not predisposed to any sort of,
all right.
autoimmune
So
disease.
like a almost like an opposite what was the name of that movie? Gattaca.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, where they're trying to make the perfect human.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, they're trying to make the perfect human. But yeah, so because of that, in doing so, they work on stuff like cybernetic enhancements, glands, that kind of stuff, and something called neural neutral omni hooks, which omni hooks allow you to access the OmniNet. I don't know what neural neutral was. I tried Googling it, and I'm like,
what do the glands do?
Think of.
I just imagine some weird frog glands or something.
Well, I know, no,
it's like squirting acid out of your.
Well, it describes it as panacea glands, which means it will. I'm assuming based on the word panacea, means that it will help prevent or possibly cure illnesses or something like that. However, I could totally see it being something where it's like, you're part of Smith-Shimano's totally not actually a thing, Midnight, and we're gonna give you the Cassandra Mao glands.
Got it. Yeah.
So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
If you start turning blue, it's just a side effect. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So
if you no.
But I mean, but it's not like
I missed The Expanse.
I know, me too. But it's not. You should really read those novellas. Anyways, so they're not just going after like blonde-haired, blue-eyed like people and stuff like that. They actually have a lot of vested interest in the Karakan trade baronies and the Spari people, which are people that we haven't really had time to discuss, and we unfortunately won't really get into this time. We might be able to do a deep dive in that later. But just know that like the Spari people are like what you would think would be the exact opposite of what Smith-Shimano would want, but they actually love the fact that the Spari people came into the fold. So yeah. All right.
So before we get going with the rest, as Zudank 6 on YouTube says, the Monarch is / Viceroy and the Swallowtail / Ranger are his favorite of the SEC mechs, though Black Witch and Orcus is pretty solid. Also Atlas and White Witch and Emperor, those are all of them. So yeah, the Monarch and the Swallowtail, which the Swallowtail is the one that I was like, ooh, pretty.
The Swallowtail's all right. I like the well,
I don't know anything about it, so
yeah. So
please.
All right, so now we can finally get into the actual frames itself. So the Smith-Shimano frames, they have overall the highest evasion. I'm not saying like everyone, obviously there might be some with Horus that have, but I'm just saying on average they have the highest evasion. Only one frame is below 10 evasion, which is pretty good. Seeing how you should probably be pumping into your agility.
Well, what's what was the previous mech that we talked about? It was I can't remember.
They were IPSN. They were all.
IPSN.
Yeah.
They were Hull. That's right.
Yeah. The lowest evasion was 6, which is like appallingly like you're just going to get hit. You're going to get hit. You knew.
And they're like, okay, I know.
I know. That's the point.
Right, these guys are the opposite. They're like, nah,
Yeah.
you ain't touching me.
And whereas like
you ain't scratching this high quality paint.
Yeah. No. Exactly. They got the Corinthian leather. Anyways, and the Smith-Shimano also has the highest overall sensor range, meaning for like tech actions and stuff like that. Nothing except save for 2 frames, nothing is below 10 sensor range, which is good. There are some, like the Death's Head has like a 20 sensor range, so it's just like in a space of 20 all around it, it can tech any of those people, which is ridiculous.
Okay.
Let's see. However, because of that, they're not very armored. Usually, if they do have armor, it's 1 armor. That's it.
Makes sense.
A lot of them don't even have a lot of repair caps. The highest repair cap count is 5. The lowest is 2. And there's one where it's like, good Lord, hang on to those 2 because you're gonna need them. Yeah. No frame exceeds 8 base HP, so they're pretty squishy. And the naming convention for this one, whereas the last one they're all named after like pirates and stuff like that, this one they're all named after either butterflies or moths. So yep. So all right, let's get into the first mech, the Black Witch. Yeah. All right. So not really that much of a powerhouse in terms of weapons. It only has one weapon mount, which is a main / auxiliary mount. However, what it does is that it uses its magnetism to control and defend the battlefield. It's described that because it has magnetic technology, the magnetism grants it resistance to kinetic damage and is actually able to parry incoming kinetic damage to adjacent allies using it. Yeah. Its core power allows it to create a magnetic field that extends from 3 spaces around it. It can deploy a magnetic field that then expands 3 spaces that can immobilize enemies within and stop kinetic and energy fire from going in or out for a little bit. When that effect ends, you can target all of the ammo that was caught in the magnetic field and have them get hit for a max of 6d6 damage, which is amazing.
Reminds me of wasn't it? I think it was Pacific Rim 2 that they had one of the mechs had one of those.
Pacific Rim. What? There was no Pacific Rim 2. Jose, you must.
What was the Pacific Rim? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Pacific Rim 1.
Yeah, you must be mistaken.
I mean Pacific Rim, just Pacific Rim.
Yeah, there was no Pacific. I don't know. Anyways.
I know I've seen it in movies where like they like have like the thing catch all the bullets with the magnetic field and they just shoot it out.
Oh yeah. That's a big thing. And that thing that's wielding the pole arm, that's its Ferris slash, which it can move mechs within range 8 up to 5 spaces if it fails an agility save. So it can actually like whip you with it and then drag you across the field using that.
Huh. So it's like almost like not crowd control, was
kind of just like maneuvering and spacing and stuff like that. And you would.
There's a specific word I can't think of the phrase for controlling, moving people around, but whatever.
I mean, it's literally doing the general thing where it's just like
yeah.
And that, you know, that has its own uses for like getting hostiles away from allied mechs. But you'll see later on, there's a lot of setup play with Smith-Shimano, where like, okay, like I'll do one thing, and when you do that, I will do this, and then we'll synergize off of that. Um, additionally, if they get lashed by it and they hit an obstruction or an object or another mech, they get knocked prone. The magnetic cannon, it doesn't do great damage, but because it attacks in a line, any and all mechs or characters that are affected by it, they have to make a hull save, or they get pulled 1d3 plus 1 spaces closer to the Black Witch.
Oh.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me get my notes here. And
I can see how just based on what you just said, I can see how this is going to be very helpful, like you said, to set things up for another one.
Mm-hmm.
Another mech to come in and do some serious damage.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, this is a controller / support mech. So it's going to, yeah, it ain't going to be swinging, but it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be messing with the battlefield. And also using its perimeter command plate. It can either immobilize a mech with the magnetism, or it can actually flip the polarity and repulse them out 3 spaces using that.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like it's like a deployable landmine kind of.
Yeah.
And it can also use what's called a magnetic shield that grants a line force field that provides anybody on the other side of it soft cover and resistance to kinetic and energy damage. So it essentially, its own, what's the word I'm looking for, passive abilities, it can grant onto a field.
Yeah.
That being said, though, it ain't no slouch in tech attacks. This is where, now, tech attacks, how those work is that you will make a tech attack, and then it will be based off of your E defense, not your evasion. So you will roll the D20, and then based on the bonuses, based on the tech attack bonus, you will have to go against the E defense to see if it works or not. Okay, so it has a drone called the Ice Out drone, which you can reposition, but when you position it, it sends out a field in an area 1 around it, and anybody in that field it prevents and disrupts tech attacks from going in or out. So you can't.
Okay.
So while you're in that field, you can't hack anybody, but you're also protected from that as well, which is useful because a lot of these mechs, specifically Smith-Shimano mechs, they are pretty fragile. So anything with like a lower heat cap, you're going to want to get into like this sort of umbrella that will protect you from tech. That way your systems don't get fried from the inside out.
Right.
It also has a module called the Black Ice, which, okay, I'm going to try to... Okay, so it grants 1 difficulty to tech attack bonuses against you or an adjacent ally. And then every time they try to make hold on. I want to make sure I get the wording on this one right. Okay, so every tech attack bonus gets a difficulty to you at first. Every time they make another tech attack against you, they add another difficulty to a max of 3 difficulty. Does that make sense? So then you have to roll 3.
So every time they attack you, it makes it harder for them to.
Yes. Yeah.
Attack you next time.
It's essentially a tech shield that every time they try to hit you with a tech attack, the shield gets stronger.
Got it. Up to 3.
Up to 3. After a tech attack from the 3rd difficulty, it resets back to 1. So yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it essentially just makes it that it's more difficult for the Black Witch and anybody adjacent to it to succumb to tech attacks.
Got it.
You got it? Okay.
Yep.
All right. You better wrap your mind around tech attacks, especially when we get to the Horus episode, because that's gonna be just like, hey, do you like your computers? Oh, okay. That's a shame. Yeah. Yeah, where one of them just gives you a fucking zip bomb. However, due to this, it obviously does come with negatives. It only has 1 armor, and it has amongst the lowest base HP of 6. And you are going to need to level up systems to get all of this to get enough system points to use all those systems, because the amount that starts out with right now, you are not going to be able to use them all. Also, you can't sell feet pics of the mech for mana.
Oh, wow.
Or can you?
Is this like a community thing? Is there a subreddit for mech pics?
There was a post on the Lancer subreddit where someone's like, "Don't be weirded out by Lancer feet. Look at them." Someone did like a cut of all of the like feet. It's like, it's normal for robots to have feet. I'm like, all right, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the Black Witch, kind of a much more defensive oriented.
In control.
Yeah, it's the only weapon that it can get from its licensing. It only does like 1d3 damage. It's not that great, but
wow. So definitely like mostly support.
Oh yeah. I mean, it can still have some weapons because it does have a main auxiliary mount, but it's definitely going to be not in the thick of it. It's going to be manipulating the battlefield as opposed to taking part of it.
Right.
All right, on to the next one. The Death's Head.
It's really hard to fit this one in a frame.
That's
so wide.
That's totally fine. That's
the little arms freak me out so much.
What? Oh, I didn't even.
Yeah, like tiny little arms right in front of it. Like,
little
what the fuck is he gonna do with it?
Little vestigial arms. Don't worry about what it's gonna do with it.
Andrew, what's it gonna do with those arms?
It's gonna give the guy up top like a hot pocket. Here you go. I made it.
Yeah. It needs it to open doors.
Actually, that's there is I want to say it's a GMS core bonus, or maybe it's like a modification or something like that, where it's like you give your mech vestigial arms so it can like work on computers and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, maybe that's it. I don't know. So someone was like, "Hey, you know what? Let's make him a little weird." All right.
I don't like it.
Why not? Anyways, all right. So the Death's Head is an artillery mech, and it perfectly encompasses one of Smith-Shimano's traits? No, not traits, but like their quotes, which is, "Why fire 1,000 rounds when one is just as effective?"
Oh.
Yeah. So
this is named after that moth with the skull on it.
Mm-hmm. And
it was called that.
And you'll see why in a bit.
All right.
So this one touts the highest sensor range amongst all the mechs. This is the one that has 20 sensor range.
He just wants to be part of the podcast.
Yeah, I guess so. And the reason why that is because when it locks on, well, one, it can lock on at that range, which is good. But it has a feature called the tracking bug, which hold on. The tracking bug is a quick tech that when it makes a tech attack on anybody within that sensor range, it will know your exact location, how much HP you have, how much structure you have, and how much what's your speed for the duration.
Oh, damn.
Yep.
Okay.
And when you're affected by the tracking bug, you can't hide, and invisibility does not work against you.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is this, like a physical thing that gets attached to the thing, or or is it just a hack, or what?
It's a program. So what? So.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. So and yeah, so it can. It's just like what it says. It will find you if it wants to. The Death's Head will find you.
Also, look at his feet. You can make so much money out of those feet.
But you can't sell them for mana, or can you? And you don't want it to find you because what happens is that it can use its core power called Mark for Death, which takes a little bit of setup, but okay, this is kind of cool. It describes that the Mark for Death protocol or whatever program works by way of experimental precognitive targeting systems.
What?
It will find you before you even know it has found you, or before or the mech will find it before you, the pilot of said mech, has known.
Does this ability come from the planet Caracas?
No. This ability
Is it from the Spice?
this ability
Why is it blue? Is that why?
No, this ability comes from something that we'll get into a little bit later. That's kind of fucked.
Oh no!
Well, it might or might not come from it. I'm on the side of it comes from it because it's cooler that way.
That ability kind of freaks me out about the arms even more. I don't know why.
Why?
I don't know. The arms freak me out, dude.
Okay, so all right.
That's kind of cool though. That I just like, oh, you're gonna be in this spot. It gets you.
Okay, so what happens is that when it does the Mark for Death action, it can choose a character, not a mech. It could be a pilot or a mech. It can choose a character between the ranges of 5 and 30, which is probably bigger than some maps, honestly. And it can,
Oh, really?
yeah, and it can focus on that character. While it's focusing, you can't move. You're immobilized.
Wait, hold on. Mech or character or like
pilot.
player character?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So while it's doing that, it essentially like locks down. It can't move and it can't take any more reactions because its sole focus is on you. And what happens is that it will deal bonus damage based on the size of the weapon that it's going to hit you with. If it makes a ranged critical hit against you. So, for instance, if there's only 3 weapon sizes listed, but if it's an auxiliary weapon that hits you with, it deals an extra 1d6 damage. If it's a main weapon, it deals 2d6, and if it's heavy and up, it deals 3d6. So, it's essentially going to just put everything behind this one attack to just blow you out of the water. Yeah. And you don't want this to happen because it gets a +1 to all ranged attacks. And if it misses, it can re-roll its first ranged attack of that round. So yeah, exactly. And so it goes.
Wait. So if hold on, repeat that again. So if it hits you, it's easier for him to essentially just continue hitting you?
No, okay. So it will focus on you, and and because it gains a +1 to range attack rolls, and because it can re-roll its first ranged attack, if it hits you and it crits, it can do anywhere from an extra 1d6 to 3d6 damage.
Oh.
So the Death's Head is designed around that one really big gun to kill one guy really well. Yeah.
Okay, I see that. Got it.
It's
it's essentially just like this is the one shot. What is it? One bullet, one kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean this. It's also been kind of said that the Death's Head is like a boss killer. Like you can have all the other guys taking out the grunts and whatnot. Meanwhile, the Death's Head is just sitting back, and it's going to take a full round to do what it has to do, and then just boom, just railgun right into right into the big bad evil guy and just destroy him.
Oh, shit. All right.
Yeah. So additionally, in license level 2, it gets what's called a core siphon, which allows accuracy to the first attack roll at the cost of 1 difficulty to every other attack roll in that round. So on top of the +1 and the ability to re-roll, you can then give yourself an extra d6 for the attack roll. Are you,
All right. So I don't want to be down the side of this thing.
No.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Additionally, at license level 3, it gains the kinetic compensator, which gives you accuracy to your next ranged attack if somehow the first one misses.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right. Cool.
Yeah. But
So they weren't kidding about the artillery thing.
no, this thing is well. There is one other mech that defines artillery, but this one's a pretty close second.
Okay.
The other mech I'm talking about, we won't get to yet. That's gonna be in the future.
Okay.
However, okay, you see those weird legs and stuff that you were talking about? It gains something called the high stress mag clamps, which essentially, more or less, gives it spider climb.
Ooh, that's horrifying.
Mm-hmm. And it says it can move. It can treat all solid surfaces as flat ground for the purposes of movement. And the only way you can lose that is if someone knocks you prone while you're walking on the walls and whatnot.
Right. Right.
All right. So, additionally, all of its weapons. Hold on. Okay, so its weapons are obviously have really good range. They and the first one it gets the main rifle. It's called the Vulture DMR rifle. It has the accurate trait, so right off the bat it gives you an extra D6 to roll for the attack roll.
Okay. As if you needed it.
Yeah, right. And it also gives you the overkill trait, which means that if you roll a 1 on damage, you take heat damage, but you get to re-roll the damage again. However, it already gives you 1 heat to use it, so you got to be kind of careful with it.
Okay. You'll be yeah.
Yeah. However, it also gets a fucking rail gun at license level, I believe 3. Hold on. Yeah, at license level 3.
Like aside from the main gun?
Yes.
Oh, all right, cool.
and because it's a rail gun, it attacks in a line, and that line is really long. It's a range 20 line, and
everything
in between you and the target gets hit with 1d6 plus 4 kinetic damage.
All right.
And that damage is armor piercing. So hey, Drake, with you in your 3 armor,
yeah,
that's nice. Try to take a rail gun. However, it is also it has a tag called ordnance, which ordnance tags it essentially means that the weapon that you're firing is going to be really, really big. So you have to fire it before you do anything else in that round, before you move or anything else, because it kind of describes it that you have to like brace for the impact of like the recoil of it. So
right.
So if you're in a situation where like oh crap, I lost my shot, I have to move, you can't use the railgun until your next turn. So yeah.
Okay.
And one of the biggest drawbacks is that it does 2 heat to yourself. And the heat cap's only 6, so you might want to be careful with that. So the negatives on it is that it's got no armor. This thing is squishy. Both of the licensed weapons, like I said before, it does heat to itself. It has really bad, well, not really bad, but it has kind of poor E defense. Only has an E defense of 8. But it also has amongst the lowest repair caps. I think it only has 2. And yeah.
So low repair and a lot of ways to consume heat.
Yes. So it's
literally a glass cannon.
Kind of. And thanks to that plus the Mark for Death protocol, it's not really great in terms of action economy. There's actually like a lot of people saying like the Death's Head is for patient players, where it's like you're not going to be like bathed in glory. It's going to be all right, it's going to take me 3 turns to get the shot off. But when I do, holy crap, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So
I can see how we're playing this.
Yeah. So I mean, like, so like you have like the Nelson and the Blackbeard, and they're like, rah, you know, like cutting shit up. Meanwhile, way in the back, that's like, all right.
Yeah.
3 hours later,
Yep.
got him.
Yeah, calculating what is it? The rotation of the planet, the wind, the humidity.
Yeah. So you know, it's just more for patient players.
Yeah.
I would be.
I mean, that's badass though, because if you do hit, holy fucking shit.
And it's like at this point, how can you not hit?
Yeah. You'll have to be really bad rolls or a really lucky roll for the enemy.
I mean, with the tracking bug and the kinetic compensator, and plus the already ability to re-roll stuff, it's like if you don't hit, you didn't deserve to hit that guy.
Yeah. I like to also imagine that once it hits and like this obliterates one of the enemies, everybody looks back and it's just a pilot like smoking a cigarette like after sex. Oh yeah. All right. Because now he has to wait like 3 more turns.
If anybody needs me, I'll be taking a shit. The little vestigial arms are.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yes, that was great.
But like, I imagine when it finally fires off that railgun, it's like, and like, and like the impact causes like all the dust and debris to off the ground real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of it for the Death's Head. Now we can get into something a little weirder.
Okay.
The Duskwing.
Oh.
Now, here's the thing. Up until this point, if you had read the stat blocks and stuff, when you go into like the weapons and systems and tech and stuff like that, it will give you a little like a description, like saying like, oh well, the Raleigh's hand cannon is based on a blah 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 blah. You know, this doesn't do that. Instead, what the Duskwing does is that it plays, or not plays, but it's the transcription for the audio of an expedition ran by Smith-Shimano's Exotic Materials Group into something called the Dyad casket. And just to give you an idea of how fucked this thing went, I'm gonna read this part.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
This is called the Dyad articulation. Belief in what we could see, what we could touch, and what our comp cons assured us was there, and our own subjectivity and memory. Belief in reality became a weapon. We approached the Metavault knowing that we would face an unknown enemy, and we approached with the advantages of numbers and machine strength. Dyad taught us as it killed us, through garbled comms chatter, through the screams of the dying, through the cackling of our mirror selves as they killed us. Every spoof signature, every temporal skip, every mimetic, every non-Euclid, those were lessons. Do you understand? Dyad the teacher, Dyad the monster. As we killed it, Dyad taught us what to fear and how to face it. What do I fear now? That's a good question. What does the pilot fear who cracked open Dyad's casket? I don't think we killed it. I think it wants us to believe we killed it. And I cannot imagine what it has done while we think ourselves safe.
What?
Yeah. And it's just like,
wait, hold on. So what is this thing? This is this mech or what? Like,
so
frame, I mean, not mech.
The well, yeah, kind of the same. Nah. the Duskwing,
yeah,
it was built from materials extracted from the Dyad expedition. What Dyad is and what was inside that Metavault is never made clear. But based on like these excerpts, I kind of don't want to know.
Yeah, that's cool. That's horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I wish this was like an anime or something that we could watch.
I
Because
mean,
the visuals are so vivid.
I mean, okay. Just give you an idea. Here's this a smaller excerpt. This one's a smaller one.
Mhm.
This one says, "Inside, what did I see inside? You think I escaped? That this is all real? No, I never left. I'm still there. Something is wrong. Something is not right." Yeah. So whatever dyad was, it fucked up these people. Massively
Yeah.
messed them up. Like it just scrambled their brains. And it says that that dyad was in a casket. Now I know NHP caskets are like these things that will keep an NHP restrained, but I would like to think that this was an actual casket, something that was entombed
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was not meant to be unearthed.
With a very obvious seal on it to not open.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh, okay, cool, and then
Yeah.
everything went to shit. Okay, so
All right.
So,
What is this frame all about?
so the Duskwing, it's a size 1/2. It's a
Okay,
it's a
so smaller size.
it's,
Okay.
it's a tiny boy. It's a size 1/2.
1/2 is 1/2 is that larger than the one that's just pretty much a suit?
It okay, so size 1/2 is essentially
Step up from the
think
suit.
think of like power armor.
Okay.
It's so size 1/2 is the amount of space that will be occupied by a pilot as well, like outside of a mech. They occupy a size 1/2 space.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just to give you an idea of how small it is.
Power armor.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. There's actually one later on that you can see the pilot inside, like strapped into it. Yeah. So the Duskwing is a controller / support.
Okay.
Based off that. I put down my notes that it's a tiny mech with a fuck backstory. Underline. So it has pretty good base evasion. It starts out with 12 base evasion. And it gets to hover for free. Anytime it moves, it just hovers. It's one of the first Smith-Shimano mechs that can become invisible during its turn. So while it's moving around, hold on. I don't know if attacks. It just says during its turn the Duskwing is invisible. So while it's moving around, it's invisible. There you go.
Cool.
Its core power allows it to create invincible, mind you, invincible holographic clones anchored to where you started your movement for the scene. So, like when you move, it leaves an after image where you were. Which, if an enemy were to go through it or they go adjacent to it, it deals 1d6 energy damage if they fail an agility save. Or what you can do is that you can teleport, not move, teleport, to one of the clones within range 50 of you, which causes all of the clones to explode into a burst 1 area doing 1d6 energy damage. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so you just like pepper the area with it and then
and
then zip back to one and just watch the watch the fireworks. So at license level 1, it gains the Neurospike tech attack, which gives you 2 following options when you use the invade action for tech. Invade means you're doing an offensive thing. You can do what's called the strike code, which every time until the end of your target's next turn, they take 2 heat whenever they attack. Yeah, which is bad. Or you can do what's called the Mirage. When that happens, you kind of blur the enemy's vision, and it creates illusory images of you or an allied character if you so choose, and until the end of their next turn, you're effectively invisible.
Okay.
Yeah.
But aren't you already invisible?
You are while you're moving. During your turn, you're invisible. But during the end of the enemy's next turn, you will remain invisible. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now it also has a rifle called the Veil Rifle, which attacks in a line 10 and it does okay damage. It's 1d3 plus 1 energy damage. However, if you have any allies within that line, it provides them with soft cover because it says that it's throwing off targeting systems of enemies around you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
so it's almost like an EMP.
Kind of.
On its own.
Kind of. So this is actually, there's kind of a weird running theme with Smith-Shimano of having specifically line weapons that if you target an ally in it, it helps them, or if an ally happens to be in it. Yeah. So this is just the first one where so it shoots off in a line and it gives any allies a 1d6 it gives them soft cover, which gives enemies 1 difficulty to hit. It also has oh god, I'm back.
We're barely halfway through.
Oh, the kombucha, it's betrayed me. Okay.
I'll start explaining the Mechs just based on their images.
This one, it's got really frilly stuff on it. Okay, so at license level 2, you get the burst launcher, which is okay. It doesn't do that. It's not crazy damage. But if you were to roll a critical, here we are again. If you were to roll a critical on a target, it impairs that target. Which we described before. It's pretty bad. You don't want to be impaired. The flicker field projector is also what you get at license level 2. And I described it that it gives your enemy the old razzle dazzle, granting you invisibility on the first attack against you. So until somebody attacks you, you're essentially invisible.
All right. Yeah, this guy's just really hard to see.
Yeah, this guy, they actually, someone said that they were using this for an extraction mission, and this thing was perfect because you're just able to get in, get out, no one can even see you. Okay. And then at license level 3, it gains the stun crown, which is essentially a flashbang, but on you. So you can use,
like you just become very bright and like stagger everybody. Or?
Well, yeah. What happens is that in a burst 3, you can force any targets within that range to make an agility save or be jammed, and you have to make them make a system saves or they get impaired. So it's two separate saves, and you can get jammed and impaired, which essentially just renders them pretty much useless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and then it gains something called the Oasis Wall, which is essentially like the Tron light cycles, the walls that it creates. It's like that. Yeah. So what happens is that when you use the Oasis Wall, you can only go in a straight line for your movement. You can't, But what happens is that when you do that, you create a wall. You create a actual wall of light between the 2 points that you were at, and that wall will provide hard cover, and it also gives resistance to energy damage. So so you leave a force field behind you. The ironic thing, though, is that despite the fact that it has a lot of tech stuff, or it has a little bit more tech stuff, it doesn't have great E defense. It only has 8 to start off with. It has no armor, and it has really low HP, so this thing is very squishy. And it unfortunately gets a difficulty on hull checks and saves, and it has a pretty low heat cap. It only has a heat cap of 4, so it's very susceptible to hacking. You might also get residual PTSD from anybody that was in the Diet expedition.
Wait, really?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
That'd be kind of cool, though. But yeah, okay. So when I was first reading Lancer, I was like, oh man, these are all really cool. Like the Raleigh and the Nelson and stuff. And then I got to the Duskwing. I'm like, oh no.
This is the turning point.
Like, oh, something's not right.
This is a pretty cool little guy. I mean, it sounds like a very fast fucking ninja that creates walls of light.
Just very hard to hit. Very not even slippery, but it's just like, were they ever really even there in the first place?
Yeah. And
like it can also like throw a lot of other enemies off. Like it essentially is just like kind of like a big monkey wrench in the gears of other enemies, because it's just like this thing's just coming in here and it's
shock and awe.
Yeah, you know, and just I can't hit anything because I can't see shit. You know,
I'm so fucking scared right now. Oh, it's almost a blink of light.
Ah! My eyes.
Hi, Teresa.
Oh, Teresa's on stream.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, we're an hour and 10 minutes in. Just
Are you kidding me?
No.
Wow. Okay. Okay. We're gonna have to pick it up. All right. Okay.
Yeah, because this is a longer list than the other one.
Okay. On to the metal mark. Let's go. We ain't got time for this. Okay. So
this one looks badass as fuck.
it's kind of okay. So the metal mark is kind of the not officially canon, but in my eyes, it's the Smith-Shimano's answer to the Raleigh, where it's just like, hey, let's just give this thing a shit ton of weapons and just see what happens. But the metal mark was
it's a beautiful butterfly.
Yeah, it is. The metal mark was actually created during the second committee for war, but because of the second committee's the fall of it.
I have a question for you. Why is he holding a sword like a rifle?
That is a rifle.
Or why does it look like a sword? Does it cut? Does the barrel cut?
You know, it might. No, that's just a really big rifle.
Oh, okay. It kind of looks like a blade, doesn't it?
I mean, kind of, but it says it's a rail rifle, so that might.
Oh, so it's like a. Got it.
Yeah. So it might be the rails on it. But yeah, so they kind of had to roll it back, be like, oh wait, no, we never intended this to go out in the public, ha ha ha, and then they rolled it back out again.
Kidding.
It actually describes.
There's a civilian version.
Yeah. It's for police action. It actually describes it, and I'm not kidding. In the description, it describes that the metal mark comes with leather interior.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah.
Air conditioning, AM, FM.
Yeah, Corinthian leather.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay.
If you have this bad boy, you gotta get it detailed every month.
Oh man. Okay. So
also the oil changes are very expensive.
And it don't even try to get an oil filter from like an aftermarket. You have to
yeah.
You have to go to like the Smith-Shimano people. It's like $1,700 for an oil filter. Anyways, so while it's moving, it's invisible.
Okay.
And any soft cover it gets, it becomes hard cover. It just automatically does. It's and I really like the core power for this one because it's literally just a sentence, and you're invisible for the rest of the scene. There you go. Have fun.
Great.
Yeah. So, but even if you weren't to use the core power, it does have a lot of abilities that can still make it invisible. Like for instance, when it uses the brace action, it can use the reactive weave, which is a feature it gets, to become invisible, and then also allows it to move up to your speed. So while you're bracing for an attack, you can just get out of there. On top of that, it gets a shit ton of weapons. It gets the rail rifle, which is listed there, which does 1d6 and a line 10, but it gives you 1 heat. It also gives you flash charges, which you can use it as a grenade, and when you do, it gives you a blast 3 zone within range 5 that prevents anyone within to draw a line of sight.
Okay.
Or you can use it as a mine, which essentially does the same thing, but you set it down and someone can trigger it. So you can like set it up for later. And another weapon it has the shock knife, which does 1 energy and 2 burn damage, which burn damage is big. Burn damage, like it starts out with it only does like 1 damage, and then you have to make an engineering save. And if you fail that engineering save, the burn damage gets exponentially worse. Like it starts building on top of itself.
Okay.
There are some people where they just died just from burn damage because they kept failing the engineering saves. You can also throw the knife. It has a range 5 for throwing. However, if you lose this knife, because it's more or less described that it's handmade to the best of Lancer's abilities of hand making stuff, where they will print this one out just for your metal mark. Should you lose this knife, you have to write a note of apology explaining how and why you lost it.
Really?
Yes. That's what it's.
Why?
Because someone took the time to make this knife just for your metal mark, which has leather interior, and you managed to lose this knife. How, good sir? We trusted you.
I just can't believe that's in the book. That's awesome.
I would love that. Just being like, oh fuck me, man, I lost the knife. Look, is Harrison Armory? Are they hiring right now? I can't do this, man. But you also get active camouflage, which, hey, guess what? Makes you invisible until the end of your next turn. And as a quick action, you can use what's called the Shock Wreath, which grants your next melee attack 1d6 burn damage. On top of that, if they're already suffering burn damage, they become blinded. So they can only attack people adjacent to them.
Right.
The big negatives though about it is that it has awful E defense. It has like only 6 E defense, so it's going to get hacked. And you're going to need to get a major upgrade for system points to just get everything that it's able to do.
Right.
And both of its licensed weapons can do heat damage to you.
This is the second one from this guy's, right? That
a lot.
Third one, no, second.
Yeah.
Your weapons give you heat damage.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna find that for some reason that's a running theme with Smith-Shimano, where for some reason their heat will do damage to you. Okay, that's the metal mark. That's kind of it's. Yeah, you're invisible and you have a bunch of weapons. Okay, that's cool. Now onto my favorite one. Yeah,
Monarch.
Yeah,
this one looks cool as fuck.
This one is cool as fuck. I fucking love the Monarch. Okay, so the Monarch is size 2 artillery. This is the one that it says that if it weren't for Smith-Shimano's forced, what's the word? Not forced, but if it wasn't for the fact that they were trying to make things scarce, this would own the battlefield. It would just dominate.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, you did mention that earlier.
Yeah. Okay, so all right, so once per round, on a critical hit, the Monarch can deal 3 explosive damage to a completely different target within range 15 of it. So it's like, I target this guy, I critted. Hey, guess what, buddy? Here's a rocket for you too. Yeah. And when it consumes lock on, so if, like, say the Death's Head was to do a tech attack, and like I'm gonna do a lock on this guy. When you consume lock on, not only do you get that 1 accuracy, but the weapon that you launch, any launcher weapon, so if it specifically has a launcher tag, it gains the seeking property. Now seeking is like arcing but cooler, whereas like I said, whereas arcing, like there's still cover and stuff like that. Seeking, if you can draw a line to it from the map, it's going to hit. And it's described that it like goes around corners and stuff like that, and your target does not benefit from cover. So if they were to like hide under something, it will like and get them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The only thing will stop it will literally be like a barred room or something.
I mean that, or like, you know, or you just rolled under their evasion and stuff like that. Okay.
Right.
Its core power is called Divine Punishment.
That's cool.
Hold on, it gets even cooler. Any and all targets within a range of 50 of the Monarch has to succeed an agility save, or take 1d6 plus 4 explosive damage as it unleashes a barrage of missiles around it.
That's badass.
Yeah, just empty the silos.
Oh my god. What I'm seeing is that for each one, there's like a hero mech or a hero frame.
Kind of.
Like there's one that's like bam, like this is the one.
Yeah, this is the this one is definitely
The
meant.
The poster boy, yeah.
Yeah, like this one is definitely meant for military action. You know?
Yeah,
Like you can kind of argue like, oh, you know, like the Black Witch does. Like, no. This one, you're gonna kill things. This thing is meant to shoot a shit ton of missiles.
Well, you said that like 35 was like a pretty big map, and this one goes up to 50.
Yeah. So it's
That's
just
a lot.
It's just like who do you want to hit? All of them.
Yeah, who do you want to hit? Yes.
He just like unleash a shit ton of missiles.
Is there any drawbacks to using that? Like, do you get like super heat or something?
No, I mean that's your core power, so you only get to use it once.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
So you only get one pop off, but you know, so make it count. Okay, so the hold on, I lost my place here. All right, so at license level 1, it gets what's called the Sharanga missiles, which it's a launcher and it's arcing. But what's really cool is that you can target 2 people at once with this. So it's just boom, boom, you both get hit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then the javelin rockets can make 3 spaces that are non-adjacent, essentially traps. So you shoot off the rockets, and if anybody should go into those spaces that the rockets are targeting, it falls on them. It just yeah. So this is, like I said, this is the setup where, like, you know, you shoot off the javelin rockets, and then you can have the Black Witch move somebody with the Ferris Slash, and when that does, boom, 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 they get hit with the rockets. So it also at license level 2, it gains what's called the Gandiva missiles, which it's weird because this one, it's a weapon that requires you to use a system point, which is odd. But because of it, it's accurate, it's seeking, and it's smart. The smart tag means that you're not targeting their evasion, you're targeting their E-defense. Because it will hit them, but your enemy has to scramble it along the way to avoid being hit. So if you have a target with high evasion but low E-defense, you hit them with the Gandiva missile, and it's pretty much guaranteed. It also gains a mod called the Stabilizer mod, which you can choose you can choose a launcher or a cannon, and it gains it 5 range, but it becomes ordnance. So you get a little bit more range, but you have to shoot it before you do anything else in that turn. Now, at license level 3, it gains the Panaka missiles, which you can launch this missile, and when it does that, it creates 2 burst 1 areas within the map that can't overlap, they can't touch. It attacks in a blast 1 area on the map. However, or 2 blast 1 areas on the map. I'm sorry for confusing you there. However, what you can do, because it already does 2d6 explosive damage, you can actually delay it. And what will happen is that when you delay the missile launch, it will still target those 2 areas that you pinged on the map. And everyone will know what those 2 areas are now because you're pretty much broadcasting it. But it increases the damage to 3d6 instead of 2d6. So you can launch off these missiles, and then it'll take a round for them to touch the ground. But at the end of that round, they hit, and they each deal 3d6 damage.
That's when you have your other buddies coming in and like moving them into the target area. Yep,
and that's when you have like the Caliban doing the knockback to just push them into that area or something like that, or you immobilize somebody there, and it's just like all they can do is just wait for the inevitable to show up. It's like that Willem Dafoe meme where he's like looking up.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also at license level 3, it gains an NHP called the, I'm going to mispronounce this and I'm so sorry, the Tlayloc. It's TLALOC NHP. And it's an NHP that it's described as having a superiority complex. It thinks it's better than any other NHP, and because of that, it's described that it doesn't tend to cascade as quickly as other NHPs does. Because it's just like, no, what are you talking about? I have my shit together. You know, I don't cascade. That's beneath me.
I like how they have personalities.
But so. What it can, yeah, I know. Well, you wait. Some of these are really bad. But it, as a protocol, you can use the Tlayloc's protocol, and you become immobilized. But at the start of your next turn, any missed melee or ranged attack, you can choose another target within range. And so any and all targets that you miss is like, nope, I'm hitting that guy instead. So it's just like boom, 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 boom. And it will, I believe it will do that until you either run out of targets or until you hit something. So it's just like it's just like a rapid fire targeting system. You know, it's like, oh, we're like, we gotta hit something.
Damn. So so far all the other ones have been like very much support.
Mm-hmm.
This dude is the damage dealer.
Mm-hmm. I love the Monarch. Now, as for the negatives for the Monarch, literally none, because the Monarch is perfect. Do not touch it. I love it. Okay, fine. It doesn't have very, for being a Smith-Shimano, it doesn't have very good base evasion. It has only a score of 8. And you will need to pump up your SP to get those system points, especially because one weapon uses a system point, and its E-defense isn't that great. But I'll be perfectly honest with you, with those negatives,
Yeah.
I'll take this thing over the negatives any day. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
All right.
I can see why it's your favorite.
Yeah, I love this thing. Do I love it more than the Raleigh? Maybe. Maybe. Okay. Anything before we move on? Okay, all right, on to the Morning Cloak.
This one looks cool as fuck.
The Morning Cloak, or as I like to call it, nothing personal, kid, the mech. It's a size 1 striker. And it's essentially, it's kind of like a rogue with like sneak attack, you know?
Okay.
Because if it attacks a target, and there's no allies or enemies adjacent between you and the target, it deals an extra 1d6 to that attack. So it gains sneak attack. It gets an accuracy for every agility check and save, and it allows you to do something called the blink space jump. Now,
like miss a step?
Kind of. Actually, you're not entirely wrong. You teleport to a space within range of 3d6. So you have to roll 3d6s, and that's how far you can go. Now, when you teleport, your teleport is very, very good because you can just get out of like engagement and reaction and stuff like that. Yeah. There's one significant drawback to the blink space jump, though.
Yes.
If you were to roll 3 of the same number. All right, so you roll 3d6s, and you get all snake eyes, or you get all 3s. Your mech and yourself disappears.
What?
It disappears, and it goes into blink space until your group takes a long rest.
What?
It just whoop.
Why?
Why not?
What mechanically? That's such bullshit.
I mean, what are the odds of you rolling the 3 same numbers on a D6?
But what if like that's like the first thing you do in battle?
That would be hilarious. Just okay, and then you're just trapped in that little folding paper thing from Superman.
Superman. And then you just crash.
I mean,
take a long rest.
I mean, I would love to never tell anybody about that when we play Lancer. Just be like, oh, they're gone now. They're in blink space, and the player's like, shh. Be like, yeah, no, they're gone. He's gonna have to make another character. And like, oh, okay. So then after that scene, like you guys are taking a full repair, which is the long rest. You guys are taking full repair. I was like, this guy comes back. I was falling for 30 minutes.
So that's funny. It is. But god damn it, if it ever happens to me, I'll be so pissed.
Be like, but you
missed the whole battle.
But you'll be safe. You can't get hit.
I guess so.
You can't get hit in blank space.
But you missed the whole thing. You're just there sitting as a player, just watching everybody else having fun. Yeah, pretty much.
Well,
It's like, hold on, guys, I'm gonna go get a snack real quick.
Yeah. All right, if anybody needs me, I'm gonna be taking a shit. Along with the death set pilot after taking that one shot off. All right, but its core power is that it can teleport as basic movement or when it boosts, which is really good. At license level 1, it gains the folding knife, the fold knife, not the folding knife. It's the fold knife. And if you do a critical with it, you can teleport 2 spaces after the attack resolves. So it's literally just stab them, boop, and get out. Yeah,
that's cool.
And it also gets some rockets, which is okay. It's an auxiliary rocket launcher, which I didn't even know was a thing. The only real big thing about it is that it has the accurate stat to it, and that's it, pretty much. However, at license level 2, it gets the Hunter Logic Suite, which gives you 2 options when you do tech attacks, and one is called Stalk Prey.
Okay.
And when you use the Stalk Prey, it says that you infect your enemy with a logic virus that starts messing with their sensors.
Okay.
And for them exclusively, you are invisible to your enemy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and until you take damage from them. So until they can manage to get an attack on you, you're invisible to them. You can also use that same logic virus to use an action called Terrify, and when you do that, you can until the end of their next turn, they are impaired. And they're impaired and they can't move closer to you. So, yeah. It also gains the exposed singularity reaction, which triggers whenever you take damage. It's once per round, but when you take damage, you can teleport up to 1d6 spaces away from where you were at.
Okay.
Yeah. So
this guy. So why? If this guy exists, why would I get? Oh, what's the name of the early one?
The Duskwing.
Yeah, the Dustwing.
Well, because this one is more combat focused, whereas the Duskwing is more support. So
can you imagine these two together? Holy fuck!
It would probably. I mean, that's the synergy, right? It would probably just be like, where am I? Bam, right in the neck.
Because they're also both small, right?
This one is a size 1, so it's a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still, it's not like full realized mech, you know.
No. It's definitely we're not touching.
Literally, it's literally fighting mosquitoes.
I mean,
mosquitoes that can take you down.
Well, okay, so imagine if you will, like a rogue, but behind that rogue is a little goblin. It's like hey, and just like throws like pocket sand. Okay, that's the morning cloak with the Duskwing.
Yeah.
You know, I just pissed off a lot of people saying that, but you know. Yep. Okay, so and then at license level 3, you increase the blink space shenanigans even further by getting something called the Fade Cloak, which I'm assuming is what it's already wearing.
Right.
When you activate it, you can phase in and out of real space, and you can become intangible. While you're intangible, you can't interact with other people, but they can't interact with you. You essentially are going into the astral plane, as you were. And at the start of each of your turn, you have to roll a d6. If it's a 4 or higher, you remain intangible. But if it's a 3 or less, you come back into real space. So you can essentially just become a ghost. You can also deactivate it yourself if you want to. And then you get the variable sword, which is actually described as the sword that it has right there. It's actually not a sword; it's a length of razor sharp molecular wire that is locked in place by a magnetic field.
Molecular wire.
Molecular wire. It's okay. It has for a melee weapon, it has a threat level of 2, which means it can attack 2 spaces out. But on a critical hit, it does 1d6 bonus damage, which if you were to attack somebody that is alone, you will do 2d6 bonus damage.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah. So this thing, it's still, for being a striker, it's still a bit on the squishy side. It's got no armor. It's also very susceptible to hacking, and it has a low heat cap. So if it were to get hacked, it's gonna feel it. But I mean, it that mixed with the fact that it can teleport and can later become intangible makes it to where like it's a very hard fighter to pin down. This wouldn't be one. Yeah. It's not going to go toe to toe with anything, but what it'll do is that it'll get in, pop somebody, and get out. You know.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that you can just disappear.
Yeah, that's an interesting mechanic.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. So on to the last frame from the base book, the Swallowtail, or as I like to call it, the Death's Head little brother. That's not as cool. Yeah.
I was about to ask you because it has like the same kind of vibe with the legs and the little arms.
Kind of. What this one does is that while the Death's Head is good at destroying people, this one's good at protecting people.
Okay.
I actually wrote down in my notes the mech with a deployable security blanket, and you'll see why. All right, so so along with the Death's Head, this one has the biggest sensor range. It has a sensor range of 20. It becomes invisible if it doesn't move. So if you keep it in place, it will be invisible until your next turn. However, where it comes in, because this is a support frame, it comes in by helping you out with other stuff, and it exemplifies this by when it does the lock-on action. When you lock onto that target, the target becomes shredded, which, if you remember, shredded means you gain no benefit from armor or resistance. So so imagine, if you will, this is actually, a better way of putting it, this is the spotter for the Death's Head. So
okay. Yeah.
So the Swallowtail sets him up and the Death's Head knocks him down. So you lock on.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh fuck! I just realized that'd be fucking devastating.
Yeah, it would be.
I just got to that realization. Getting hit while you're shredded from a Death's Head. Essentially, just okay. Goodbye, world.
It was nice knowing you all.
Yeah. Okay. So what's really cool is its core power. It's called the prophetic interjection. Which allows for a reaction called the tactical simulation. Now, what happens is that if an allied character within your line of sight takes damage from another character in your line of sight, you roll a 1d6. Okay, on a 4 or higher, what actually happens was a simulation that you already knew was going to happen. Like, you pre-calculated the simulation.
Yeah,
and your ally, because of that, because you're aware, like, oh shit, that guy's gonna hit you, watch out, your ally gains resistance to the damage dealt by the attack and will teleport three spaces, representing where they actually were.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. If you roll 3 or lower, they don't gain resistance, but then they can teleport 6 spaces away. So there's still something there, Yeah. And because this is a reaction, you will activate your core power, and you will have this reaction for the rest of the scene. So once per round, you can potentially save somebody like this.
That's cool.
Yeah. Now it has at license level 1, it gets something called the Lotus Projector, and what the Lotus Projector does is that it creates a drone that will send a burst 2 field of information and while you're in that field, the swallowtail, it prevents you from being invisible against the swallowtail while you're in that field.
Okay.
So this will be a perfect counter for like a metal mark where it's like, no.
Yeah.
You send it out, boom. Oh, hey, there he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a big bag of flour.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, activate the bag of flour protocol. Fuck, I will never get past the idea that a bag of flour is just one of the. Anyways, okay. And then it also gets something called the marker light, which is a full tech. So that's it. It's going to be your full action to do that. But what it does is that it's essentially a powered up lock on. So if you use it, you will lock on to an enemy, or you will give an enemy a lock on, and that enemy will take 2 heat damage, and they can't benefit from soft cover. Also, if an ally consumes that lock on while making a hit, as a reaction, you can make that attack. If it's a successful attack, you can automatically make it into a critical attack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it
Damn.
Yeah, exactly. The only I think it's the only weapon that it gets is the Oracle LMG, which it's an auxiliary rifle that, although it's accurate, it takes 1 system point to use. So, but then it gains something called a retractable profile, which is essentially goes back into its shell. When that happens, you are essentially hidden, and enemies gain 1 difficulty to find you. Any ranged and tech attacks also gain a difficulty, but you can't make any attacks or any ranged attacks of your own, and you become slowed. So you essentially just retract into your shell, and you become more difficult to find and more difficult to ping on a radar. At license level 3, it gains the Athena NHP, which I described as an NHP that's really good at doing the anime glasses thing. You know? Yeah, exactly. And then the light sing across it. Yeah. When you use the Athena, first of all, you gain anytime a mech gains an NHP, they gain the AI tag, just so you know. Yeah. But then you can also use the simulacrum, which the simulacrum is the Athena, and it actually says it constructs a 3D model of lovingly extreme detail. And what will happen is that within a range 50, you choose a burst 3 area or blast 3 area, and it essentially makes you a 3D model of whatever's in that area, including people and things and stuff within it. Yeah. So you have full visibility of it. You know the statistics of all the weapons and systems and characters inside of it. Hostile people within that area do not gain benefit from invisibility or being hidden. And hostile characters that end their turn in that area that you have projected all receive lock on. So you just essentially, hey, here's this area, Monarch, go get them.
Cool.
Yeah. And then the final thing it gets is that it gets the cloaking field, which you're slowed, so you can't take as much movement. But what happens is that within a burst 2 of you and anybody around you are invisible.
All right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Pretty self-explanatory.
So you put this next to the big boy brother, and then that's a pretty devastating combo right there.
Yes. Now the only problem is that one of the big negatives is that cloaking field that I just described, it does 2 heat damage to itself, which is bad because it has a low heat cap. It only has like a heat cap of 4, so you're definitely gonna have to put some points into engineering and stuff like that. It also has no armor and very low HP, so it's just this is definitely not going to be in the battlefield. Right. Yeah. So
do you think these two high five each other when they do a crazy kill
I would imagine the swallowtail
with
goes, the
with their
swallowtail
little arms.
the swallowtail goes for the high five, and the death's head leaves it hanging.
Oh.
That is my personal opinion on what happens.
And you see the turret go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just like retracts back into itself. Like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I know we wasted a lot of time, but now we can get into the cool stuff.
Andrew, what the fuck am I looking at?
This my boy is the Atlas. This is a size 1/2 striker. This is
Okay.
it actually does describe that this is essentially power armor. Like this is not a mech. This is actual armor for the pilot. Now is
Right.
this okay? Smith-Shimano has a very vested interest in the Caracas trade baronies, which is unfortunately something we really can't get into. But just know, Caracas is a worlds upon worlds of nobility and stuff like that.
A lot of sand and there's spice.
Actually, no, not actually. Actually, no. Just a lot of
the Harkonnen are there, and all Atreides just arrived.
A lot of nobility and a lot of upper class people. Okay, the Atlas, it has the backstory for the Atlas is that it was actually supposed to be made. I don't know if solely for the Caracas trade baronies, but it was supposed to be made for the trade for Caracas in mind, because they like to have like tourneys and stuff like that. However, somebody lost a Sparry game, and in it they had to the bet was they had to give the schematics of the Atlas to the Sparry people. And the Sparry people, which they are described not nomadic, and that's not the word I'm looking for. The Sparry people are like it's like a civilization of like hunters in an ice planet. It's like this like absolutely awful environment, but because of it, they grew to become like very like sturdy, hardy people that pride themselves on taking out what's called the megafauna of Sparry.
Yeah.
For some reason. Or not actually, no, not for some reason. It actually makes perfect sense. The Atlas, the Sparry people took to the Atlas like fish to water. And because of that, the Atlas kind of had like a more like exotic flavor for the Caracas people. So Smith-Shimano saw themselves where, because of an accident where a Smith-Shimano employee had to give up the Atlas schematics, they actually boosted the market on two sides that they were unaware of, because now the Sparry people actually treat the Atlas frame as an heirloom. Like, it's not uncommon for them to pass down the Atlas from father to son, or mother to daughter.
Right.
And actually, its core power allows you to gain the knowledge of your ancestors to help
Black Panther, got it,
to help you in combat. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, more or less. So this thing is a ninja. This thing is an actual ninja. Like, it just
with a Viking battle axe, got it.
Yes. Okay. So and there's a lot of reasons why people love this frame, and I'll get into it. Okay, so when it takes damage from a larger mech, which is pretty much all of them, you gain resistance to the damage, and you can move up to 3 spaces that do not trigger any sort of reactions or engagements. You can just get out of there. You also deal 1d6 extra damage to prone targets once per round with a melee attack. You also count as a size larger for ramming and grappling. Additionally, you can move, you ignore engagements from larger characters, and you can actually gain soft cover from enemies, like as you're moving between them.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can use your enemies against the other enemies. So the core power is described that it injects your muscles and nervous systems to allow you to communicate with your ancestors, and you gain the following for the rest of the scene. You gain +1 speed. You always have soft cover. It's permanent, no matter where you go. You can hide in plain sight, and when you're attacking an enemy, they have to make a hull save or be knocked prone before the attack initiates.
Cool.
Yeah, and don't forget, you deal that 1d6 for attacking prone things. At license level 1, it gains what's called the multi-gear maneuver system, which is essentially a zip line that you can shoot, and you can anchor it to a point adjacent to you, and then to another point 8 spaces away. And that zip line can be used by size 1/2 frames or creatures. So your frame or the pilot's can use it to travel as a quick action between the 2 points. Or you can use it to trip larger frames.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. You also get something. Wait, that can't be right. Did I misspell that? No, I guess I didn't. Okay. You also get something called the crawl rifle. It's spelled Kraul. It's inaccurate, however, but when you hit with the crawl rifle, you anchor yourself to the target. And as a quick, or not as a quick action, as a reaction, you can boost towards that target.
Oh, sweet. So, Attack on Titan.
Kind of. Okay.
Nice. I see why people like this.
Oh
this
wait!
game.
Oh no! Well, hold on. We've only got into it. Okay, so at license level 2, it gains something called the Jägerkunst, which translated from German means hunter art. It's actually a martial art invented by the Spari people solely to use in the Atlas.
Okay.
And at license level 2, you gain the first suite of the Jägerkunst, which anytime you move adjacent to an object or piece of terrain that's larger than you, you can move 3 spaces in any direction for free. Up, down, left, right, whatever. And you can do this for each unique piece of terrain that you see. So you can essentially just like go up, hit this wall, bounce off the wall, see that archway, bounce off that archway, and you can just.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then it also gains the ricochet blades, which it's blades that shoot out in a line of 3, and it deals 2 kinetic damage to anyone in that line, which is kind of okay. However, if the blades hit a piece of terrain or object larger than size 1, it ricochets off of it and it goes into another line 3 that can deal 1d6 3 kinetic damage if those targets fail an agility save.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can be like Revolver Ocelot, just
yeah.
off of a wall. Okay, so at license level 3, okay, this is where shit gets really sick. At license level 3, you gain something called you get the second suite for Jägerkunst. And what happens is that you gain a reaction called the Fatal Clash. Now, what that is it's a reaction that if you take damage or deal damage from a melee attack, you clash into your enemy. And it says after damage has been resolved, you and your target roll a contested hull or agility check. Each party chooses which. The loser is knocked prone, takes 1d6 kinetic damage, and is knocked back 3 spaces in a direction chosen by the winner. The winner can then move 3 spaces. However, the loser can take 2 armor-piercing damage to force the contest again. So you can just keep bouncing off of each other over and over until either...
This is literally like those ninja scenes. I was like,
yeah. So you can keep going until either one of you is dead or one of you stops. And just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And you just bounce off each other. Yeah, it actually says, the contest continues until one character loses without forcing a reroll or they take structure damage. So it's like,
Mm.
it's like you either die or you just keep clashing. And then at license level 3, it gains the Terashima blade, which is a sword that you can attack normally with it. But why would you? As a protocol, you can take one of 4 stances with the sword, and each stance gains different benefits and drawbacks. Like for instance, there's one called the Troll stance, which it gives you inaccurate, but all of your attacks deal +3 damage and their armor piercing. Or you can gain the Wind stance, which gives you reliable 2, and threat 2, and it gives you knockback 2. And then after you attack with the Wind stance, hit or miss, you move 2 spaces in any direction, avoiding or ignoring engagement and reactions.
Right.
So
yeah, so this guy, you said it. He's just a ninja.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
Black Panther ninja.
I mean, and it's kind of, it's oh, and it also describes that the Terashima sword was forged in the fires of a corralled star that Smith-Shimano has.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
So thematically in this world, right? Like all these abilities that you get with a frame,
Mm-hmm.
it's a license that the corporation gives you.
Mm-hmm. Well,
narratively, how do you explain the what is it called, the Jaeger
Kunst.
Kunst?
Well, okay, so that's the thing. It never explicitly says that licensing is given to you by the corporation. It could be something where, like, I mean, you can, if you want to, you can frame it that way, to where Smith-Shimano's be like, hey, you're doing good, kid. Here's the next license level for this frame. Or if you want to, you can have it be a more narrative focus. Like for this one, for the Atlas, you could probably have it to be like where you are a member of the Spari people, and like this one was passed down to you, and as you're kind of learning it a bit more, like a bit more knowledge is being played out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was allowed, but okay.
Yeah, no. However you want to narratively justify the licenses, completely up to you. There's no hard fast rule for it. So I mean, there have been some people where it's like, I got my mech because my granddad like fought in this war, and he's like, if you're worthy for it, I'll keep unlocking the license levels. It's just stuff like that. Okay, so the and it actually also describes that the Terashima blade, it's like if you were to lose the Terashima blade, it's considered like a huge dishonor. And that gaining a Terashima blade is something like worthy of like a champion. Like holy crap, I got this guy's Terashima blade.
Right.
Like I will pass this down to my great grandkids.
Right.
However, there are some severe drawbacks with the Atlas. It has no armor, and it has the lowest repair cap amongst Smith-Shimano. It only has 2 repair caps. It is not at all suitable for tech attacks. It has bad tech attack bonus, or actually, I think it just has not great tech attack bonus. It has really bad E defense, and then on top of that, you're going to have to upgrade the system points to really get the oomph out of it, because the Terashima blade requires system points to just use it.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Last 2, I promise. Okay, the White Witch. Now, this one is... So, the Black Witch uses magnetic abilities to manipulate the battlefield. The White Witch uses magnetic abilities to use ferrofluid that is stored within the White Witch.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all that black stuff, that's ferrofluid.
That's cool.
Yeah. Using the ferrofluid and the magnetism, if it's immobilized, which it can grant to itself, it can mobilize itself if it so chooses. It gains resistance to kinetic damage, and it's immune to prone. And when you brace, the ferrofluid gives you overshield, which is kind of temporary HP, which would be 4 plus your grit, which is what's tied to your pilot. It can also use the ferrofluid to reduce allied damage by 1, and it can take it for themselves as long as it's within range too. So if if someone else were to take damage besides you, it can take that damage instead, as long as it's within range too. Okay, so it gains it also has a passive trait called Ferroactive Armor, where every time, because it starts out with no armor, right?
Yep.
Every time it takes an attack, it gains +1 armor, and it caps it out to 6. So it can.
Okay.
So it gets hit 6 times. It gets 6 armor. Its core power is where instead of gaining +1 armor for each attack, it gains +2 armor for each attack, and it can stack up to +12 armor for itself. Okay.
Damn. All right.
Yeah. Which means you have to roll higher than a 12 to even damage it. However, if it exceeds 12, which means it would go to +14, the armor resets, but everyone around you within a burst 2 takes 1 AP damage, and then has to pass a hull save to avoid being knocked prone, immobilized, and shredded. So it just bursts out in ferrofluid.
Yeah.
So at license level 1, it gains the ferrofluid lance, which you can latch onto opponent once per round, rendering you both immobilized if your opponent fails a hull save. And then as a protocol, you can end this by launching the opponent 4 spaces in any direction. Or if the opponent lands a successful attack. It also gains the Pinning Spire, which does the same thing. It locks you and the opponent in place, but without the hull save, or without the launching. This thing, it really benefits from immobilizing itself.
Turtle.
Kind of. At license level 2, it gains something called the Sympathetic Shield, which allows you to project your ferrofluid shield to an ally within range 5. Now
Sympathetic feel.
It's okay, man. We've all been there.
We understand.
So that ally will gain the Overshield 4 plus crit, and then on top of that, hold on. Oh, I think I wrote that wrong. My bad.
The White Witch.
Yeah, I think I did write that wrong.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, but any damage dealt to that Overshield, it transfers to you, but you gain resistance to that damage if it's kinetic. and then you get something called the Camus's Razor, which allows you to use your magnetism as a reaction to take the blow for an ally up to range 5 as long as it's kinetic or explosive. But you have to prime it as a quick action beforehand. So it just a little bit of setup, but there is some things you can work with there. At license level 3, you gain something called the Ferro Spike Barrier, which allows you to emit a puddle of ferrofluid that at first doesn't do anything. It's just a puddle for 1 round. The next round, however, the puddle hardens and it provides you hard cover. I believe it says size 1 hard cover. Additionally, anybody that moves across that puddle takes 1d6 armor piercing damage as the ferrofluid impales them from underneath.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then it also gains something called the Retort Loop, which is a heavy cannon that it's not really crazy at first. It only does like 3 base kinetic damage. However, what happens is that every time you take damage, it gains a charge, and it can hold up to 3 charges. For every charge it holds, it increases the damage by 1d6. You get 2 reliable damage, and it does 1 knockback. So if you were to get all 3 charges, 3d6, 6 reliable, 3 knockback, and then once you fire it, it expends any and all charges. So this thing kind of, very, very much so, weirdly, it's supposed to get into the thick of it, but once it does, it'll keep taking hits, and it'll build upon that, and then just unleash it onto other people around it.
It's kind of like kinetic armor type thing.
Yeah. The only problems, well, there's a lot of problems with it, but one of the big things is that it's very vulnerable against hacking. But also the ferrofluid, it sounds nice on paper, but for you to get the max oomph out of it, you're gonna have to either take low damage or just be prepared to structure out, because getting to that plus 6, it's going to be tough. You're not going to get it right away. Hold on. Oh, okay, yeah. So you prime the Canvas's Razor, and then once you prime it, you gain the intervention reaction. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to make sure the wording was right on that. So that's the White Witch. The Black Witch is nastier, other side of the coin.
Right.
And then we get into like one of the weirder ones. This one,
which I love how it looks.
Well, it looks nice, but this one is very odd because it starts out with a base HP of 2. This is the lowest HP of any mech in the game. 2 HP.
That's okay. What's okay? Okay.
No, that's it. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, all right.
So the reason why that is because it. Okay, so the grit stat that ties with the pilot, it affects ability saves, attack rolls, and HP. So for every point of grit you get, your mech gains a point of HP as well. The HP for the Emperor does not increase with grit. Instead, what happens is that you gain overshield of 6 plus the grit, which then refreshes whenever it takes structure damage. So it gets temporary HP instead of normal HP. And then whenever you grant overshield to an ally, it gains the amount of overshield that you just granted on top of it. It can't go above the previously mentioned cap of 6 plus grit, but you gain however much that you grant. And then
keep going.
No. What are we gonna say?
It's like a support, because when I look at it, it looks like an archer type thing.
It's actually described as a support / artillery. So it does support by artillery.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then once per round, it can do what's called a condemning, and your opponent has to make an engineering save. And when that happens, if they fail that, it takes +1 damage from every source until the end of its next round.
Oh.
So it's essentially a hunter's mark.
Yeah.
Now that bow that it has, that's an integrated mount. It starts with it. That's called the Marathon Arc Bow. It attacks in a line 15. However, if there's any allied mechs in the crossfire, it doesn't take damage. Instead, what happens is that it grants them 2 overshield. And if they have overshield already, it gives them +4 overshield.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
So it's kind of like a weird, not quite, but sort of healing attack.
Yeah, you gotta have to be organized with everybody. Like this, you have to have a game plan before you.
Oh yeah. You know
what I mean?
Yeah, this is not.
I'm glad that the initiative in this game is just kind of like based on what the players will do.
Mm-hmm. That's.
It will suck. I think it will suck to go first and this guy.
That's. To me, that tells me that's entirely why they built the initiative system like that.
Yeah.
All right. And then its core power, Xerxes Apex, ramps up this ability by anybody. Okay, so picture, if you will, it shoots in a line 15. Mm-hmm. Anybody that gets hit in that line, you can either grant them overshield 2, or on top of the damage that the bow already does, they emit a arc of lightning that can deal 3 armor-piercing energy damage to a target of your choice within range 3 of that person.
Okay.
the target that you choose can be hit multiple times by the arcs of lightning. So you shoot it, and this like explosion of lightning, and you can just focus all of it on one person, or you can deal the damage out however you see fit.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of like like a control version of that missile thing from the Monarch.
Kind of, yeah. Just a kind of a cooler version of it.
Yeah.
Now, at license level 1, it gains something called Dominion's Breath, which allows you to grant Overshield 1 to anyone within your sensor range. When the Overshield is lost, they release a Burst 2 field of armor-piercing energy damage. And your opponent or anyone hit by that, has to make an engineering save or be impaired. The one of the weapons it gets, called the Bolt Nexus. It's a smart weapon, so it attacks their evasion. It's kind of underwhelming at first. It only deals 1 damage, but if you keep attacking the same opponent with that weapon, it doubles the range from 10 to 20. It gives you reliable 4 damage, and it does energy 4 damage as well, which essentially means you're always going to deal 4 damage against that opponent, no matter what.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. It's kind of like you're hunting and you're getting used to.
Yeah. So it's
enemy.
So it's kind of described as like, while the Emperor is doing something else, because the Nexus is a drone. That's how the Nexus attacks. So while the Emperor is doing something else, the Nexus is like taking care of something for you.
Right.
And then at license level 2, it gains the Imperial Eye, which gives your ally a disruptive charge. That if they were to get within range 3 of an ally that you give the disruptive charge to, they take 2 knockback, 2 energy damage, and they have to make an engineering save to become prone and shredded. And then okay, so there's some weird names here. I'm going to try to pronounce this. Now there's the Shaname. The Shaname grants Overshield equal to 4+ grit to an ally, but it also gives them resistance to heat damage while they have that Overshield. If that Overshield were for some reason to deplete, all of the heat damage they have taken goes away. They get cured of all their heat damage. So this would be good for anybody that's prone to being hacked.
Yeah.
At license level 3. Oh, god damn it. I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly. It gains something called the Ayai of Zizka? It's the Ayai, Ayah, of Syzygy. Okay.
I am not going to try to pronounce that.
Neither am I. Anyways, so what that happens is that you create a burst 2 field of energy damage, right? And it just kind of sits there. It doesn't do anything.
Okay.
Until somebody walks, or until somebody, what's on? Okay, so you create this field with the AI, and if an enemy, in that field takes range damage, everybody in that field takes 2 energy damage, and so it just pops for everybody there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems like a lot of a lot of this mechs, it's just kind of like a boom, and then whatever is gone or is deteriorated just blows up.
Yeah. There's a lot of setup for these mechs.
Yeah.
Okay. At license level 3, it gains an ability called the Walk of Kings, where it grants Overshield 4+ grit to an ally. Hey, we've heard of this before. However, while they have this Overshield, all of their melee attacks are armor piercing.
Oh.
Yeah. And then on top of that, when they do their first melee attack, they release a burst of energy within range 1. I think only deals 1 damage. Hold on. Of 1 armor piercing energy damage. So you just essentially boost somebody, and then they can pop off energy while they're doing that. So that's the Emperor. Now the big negatives for it is that obviously that HP. What the fuck is up with that
Yeah.
HP, man?
That's kind of crazy.
I mean, you can either just deal with it, or you can just invest a lot of points in the hull and kind of build that back up. However, the thing about it is, overshield does not benefit from repair caps. You cannot cure overshield with repair caps. You just get it back whenever you structure out, which is unfortunate because it only gets 2 repair caps. So this thing is supremely squishy, which is even worse because it has no armor. So
that's kind of crazy. That's interesting.
Just keep this thing out of the battlefield. Like, this thing is like buffing people left and right, but just keep it out of the battlefield, or else it's gonna get like crushed, I feel.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the last one, and this one's gonna be a quick one because this actually isn't a full frame. This is actually an alternate frame. So what an alternate frame is that all the licenses are going to be the same. Okay, so hold on. Let me backstep here. The Orcus is the alternate frame for the Black Witch, which means license level 1 through 3, everything is the same. It gets the Ferris Slash, it gets the repulsing plate and stuff like that. What makes it different is that some of the stats are a bit boosted for the Orcus in terms of combat. It's not crazy, it's not tanky, but it's a little bit sturdier than the Black Witch. And the one of the abilities that it has passive is that it gains immunity to all missed damage and effects. So like reliable damage, or like I don't know if like agility saves where they do half damage that counts for it, but I might have to look into that. And it grants this to adjacent allies as well. It describes it that the shield that it's carrying protects the allies around you.
That's cool.
Yeah. And it any ally adjacent to you gets hard cover from being near you. And also the Orcus can mirror the movement of an allied mech up to your speed +1. So when if you have an adjacent ally and they move, you can move alongside them. And if this is for free, it's not a reaction or anything like that. It just happens. And,
interesting.
And when that happens, you don't provoke any reactions and you ignore engagement as well. So it's actually, I think it describes it as like a what's it, like an honor guard. Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up. Yeah, no, the Royal Guard. So it describes it like this one is very like defensive, and it can act as sort of like a bodyguard to another.
Got it.
Mech.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah, and what's it? Once per round, if it were to, what's it? When you cause a character to collide with another obstacle or another character, you can throw the shield to deal 3 kinetic damage, which renders them unable to take reactions until their next turn. However, as a core power, you can throw the shield up to a range 6, and it also makes it a ram attack that can't miss, and it knocks the target back 3 spaces. And then if they were to collide because of that knockback, you can do the previous shield toss again and do the 3 damage on top of the knocking them out of reactions. Yeah, so a little bit of setup.
So it's just quite literally just a bodyguard.
All
right, cool.
Ugh.
Well, it kind of looks like in the picture because of all that armor.
Now the only thing, I don't know why they decided to go with Black Witch for this one. Me personally, I wouldn't have done that, but hey, whatever. I didn't make the game, so it's just kind of weird. That's like, really, the Black Witch? Okay, all right, if that's what you want, knock yourself out.
Did it have any explanation in the book?
I mean, it just describes it because this is the one from the Caracas Trade Barony books. It says that the Orcus can be taken at rank 2 of the Black Witch license instead of the Black Witch.
Right.
So
got it.
Yeah, that's it. It's just an alternate frame.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh God.
Take a breather. That was a lot, Andrew. I think these are like the, I wouldn't say the big brain of the frames in Lancer, but they're definitely more of the like chess player type.
We haven't
family.
we haven't even gotten to the big brains one yet.
Yeah, this is more of like a very like battlefield tactician, not so much.
I did not realize it was gonna take this long.
Yeah,
That is my bad.
it's okay. Well, if you guys enjoyed it, please leave us a comment. Tell us which one is out of all these is your favorite.
Tell me what I got wrong.
Acidic already told us that the Monarch is his favorite, along with the Swallowtail. But before we finish our episode, we have one segment to go through, which is session highlights. Now, last week we didn't play because Robert wasn't able to make it. And the next episode is a very special episode. We'll let you find out why this Wednesday. So please tune in to figure out why it is such a special announcement episode. You cannot miss it. But Andrew, before then, we had a pretty fun session. Very chaotic. Do you have any session highlights from then?
God. Okay, so you fucking guys. All right. So I was describing that, you know, I told him, like, you do realize that the quest you guys are taking was meant to be done when you guys were like level 2. And they're level 10 now. They just got fresh off of killing a dragon, saving 10 towns, and all that stuff. And they're like, oh, hey, let's go do this quest. I'm like, guys, no. So you guys are just like stomping everybody through. It actually got to a point that, like, I didn't even bother to roll initiative because it's like as soon as anyone attacks, they're dead. You know?
Yeah.
I would have to say this is gonna sound really weird, but hear me out. My session highlight had to have been when you guys came across the what was it, the brown mold? It's like this was
oh my god, the fucking mold.
This was the thing that managed to do the most damage, was the mold.
The mold.
Castle.
You know what's funny? Because I was like, when you mentioned the fire thing, I was like, oh, I know what this is.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, I don't want a metagame.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like later when the guy mentions it, I was like, yeah, okay, I was right. Because I wasn't really quite sure. But yeah, the mold is what got
The mold did the most damage. Not the cultist, the fucking mold.
Yep.
God.
Yep.
And actually, I think the interaction with with like the prophet of the cult, I thought that was really fun. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that came out pretty nicely. I don't really have like a major session highlight. I think it was just all very like silly, like because you're right, we're level 10 and we're just kind of like knock who's there, death.
Yeah.
You know, like there's not really a lot getting in our way, or that can get in our way. So I think we needed to kind of have a power trip for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
hey, we did learn some stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, me personally, I was honestly kind of worried that, like, I was like, oh man, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm of the mind that if there's no challenge at all, it's not fun. You know, like for me,
no, it can be like that.
Yeah. So I was like really worried. It's like, oh man, is it really just gonna be 3 hours of these people just steamrolling through this area that they're not supposed to be? You know?
Yeah.
But then like when you got to like the soothsayer of the cult, and she was able to like finish your sentences and stuff and whatnot, like okay, like
yeah.
Like there is something interesting here. Okay, I can work with this. You know,
and how annoyed she was already by Octavio before he even got there.
Oh yeah, because she saw what you were capable of. She's like, I'm not dealing with this. My last moments of life are not going to be dealing with this crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
man. Yeah. So this next episode should be pretty fun, but yeah, I don't necessarily have a highlight, honestly.
And that's, you know what, and that's okay. Sometimes it's just that's just how it works out. So
yeah, I mean, it was a pretty fun episode. But with that, thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Attack of Opportunity. Andrew, thank you so much for what happened? Thank you so much for getting us through all of the
Oh my god.
All these frames. It was a lot.
There was. I'm just
Yeah.
like next episode after Horus, I'm gonna be like hooked up to an oxygen mask. Just...
Yeah. But yes, please let us know which was your favorite. And if you have any advice for us, since we are very new in Lancer. But with that, thank you so much for sticking around. Please make sure to follow us and like us and subscribe and leave us a comment of which one you like best, what we did wrong, anywhere where you're listening to this podcast. We would love to hear from you. But with that, you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Make sure to tune in this Wednesday for a very special episode. And with that, thank you for watching. You guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.
God damn it.